Hi there, it's another book talk with Tracy, and today I'm standing in front of some of my bookshelves, standing in front of some of my favorite books, and I thought it would be fun today to talk about some of my all-time favorite books and some of the books that I guess influenced me to want to become a writer. Um, there's a lot and they're very varied. And so when I was thinking about this, it's like it's kind of a paradox in a lot of ways, because I do like some very kind of disparate things, I guess you could say. And recently this topic came up with some other authors, what one book inspired you to become a writer. And I think when I thought about it long and hard, probably I would have to pick Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, because Anne was feisty, but she loved to write. And that was one of the things that I really admired about her. But as you can see, there's a lot of really different kind of things here on my shelf. The whole top shelf is Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I've read every single play, but when I used to teach, I used to teach English, high school English, and also I was a drama teacher, so I had the opportunity to study some of them in more depth, and so I do love Shakespeare. There's nothing like Shakespeare as far as drama goes, and he's even just fun to read. So The Bard is kind of high on my list of favorites for sure. But as far as more contemporary, a little more current authors, these days I do tend to read a lot of work by other authors. I get lots of books that people send to me, looking for reviews, and I just also have found that there's some really great Christian authors out there. Now, speaking of Christian authors, though, my very favorite still is Frank Peretti. Frank Peretti, This Present Darkness, of course, his number one classic, but his book Monster, I have a copy of it here. It's still one of my very favorite books. It's he's got an edge. He keeps you on your seat. There's a little bit of weirdness to his work, and again, if you look here, I've got a whole host of Frank Peretti here. I also love Ted Dekker for those same reasons. Sometimes it's weird, there's some fantasy going on, and even some parts that are maybe scary, suspenseful for sure. So those are two authors that I really, really enjoy. And then kind of on a separate level, I love Francine Rivers as well. She's just got so many fantastic books. Redeeming Love, of course, being one that's a favorite for a lot of people, but I love her Lion series. Where is it? Voice of the Wind. Oh man, there's just lots of really great books by Francine Rivers that I love. Speaking of a little more classic, I've got C.S. Lewis. I didn't really read C.S. Lewis until I was older. I wasn't introduced to him till I was probably 20 or something. But I love the Narnia series, of course. The Screwtape Letters. Oh, who doesn't love that? It's so fun. It's a demon writing to his uncle, who happens to be Satan. It's just great, with just such tongue-in-cheek humor. But I enjoy that kind of thing. Not necessarily Christian authors, but some of the other ones that I've really enjoyed were like George Orwell, 1984, some of those classics. And I did have an opportunity to read and teach a lot of those during my time as an English teacher. Ray Bradbury is another one. I do like that suspense and that little sort of a weird twist to things. And of course, I'm a big science fiction fan. I love Star Trek. I know that's not a book, but I used to read a lot of Star Trek novels at one point in my life as well, and really enjoyed those. In fact, when I was a teen, besides reading Star Trek, I had these two really weird, different genres that I liked. I used to read a lot of like Harlequin Romance, mostly because if I stayed over at my grandma's, she had a stack of them and I'd sneak them into my room and read late at night when nobody knew that's what I was doing. Of course, Anne of Green Gables, I already mentioned her, and all of the Ella Montgomery books, which I think I've read them all. And then my other favorite was Edgar Rice Burroughs. That's the guy who wrote Tarzan. And there's a lot of Tarzan, like 29 or 30 books, and I read them all. They were just so great. It's fantasy, a little bit on the edge, whatever it might be. That really appeals to me, and it did even way back when. But then I also love classics like Jane Austen. I mean, who doesn't love Jane Austen? Who doesn't love Pride and Prejudice? So it's kind of strange. Like when I think about my favorite genres, I sort of waffle between classics and romance, and then sort of thriller / science fiction. And I guess that's okay. I guess it's good to have a variety of interests and a variety of things that you like to read, which I suppose is maybe why I'm a bit of a chameleon when it comes to writing. You know, I've written some science fiction, definitely writing a lot of romance, usually with some suspenseful things, also some comedy and stage plays, children's book, devotionals. So, you know, I've got a whole lot of things going on, and I think it's good to have more than one interest. There's lots of others who have gone before who've done that. Sometimes I think, I should just be picking one thing and sticking with it, but I don't think I can do that. So anyway, there's a little peek at some of my faves. I forgot to mention Margaret Atwood. I do love her, especially Oryx and Crake, which is super weird and dystopian. So yeah, any of those kind of do appeal to me a lot. Anyway, that's probably enough for now. I will see you again next time on Book Talk, and I hope that you'll find some other good books to read that you will enjoy. You know what? Head over to my website if you want to look more at my own books. It's tracykrause.com, and there is no E in Tracy, but there are 2 S's in Krause. And that is it for this edition of Book Talk. See you again.